perfect. Yeah, you walk that walk, watch the muscle pop. You're so picture perfect.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Bravo Tea with the Stay-at-Home Mom. I'm Erica, and I'm ready to get into all the lineup of the shows. I'm so glad we finally got the Valley because, as I said on the podcast previously, I was like ready for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills to be put to bed because I think doing 3 parts of the reunion is a little too much. And thank God we wrapped that up with the bow. And I will recap that, but I want that kind of to be like my shortest recap because so I want to kick it off with the Valley because that's like what we've all been anticipating and waiting for. The buildup, been, seeing Jax admit his issues, him and Brittany, we already know they're getting divorced, and Michelle and Jesse. So we just knew this was going to be a season that is just raw, real, bringing us back kind of to the early Vanderpump Rules days. So they're also showing all the old episodes. I'm going to rerun of Vanderpump Rules. And this morning when I was making breakfast, I watched a little bit and I was like, we just are like not getting this raw emotional TV anymore with some of these shows because, as I've said before, we get away from real friend groups. That's why The Valley, Summerhouse, Southern Charm, and Vanderpump Rules, pretty much for the most part, was so raw and real and had a lot on the line because they were friends. Now, old school Orange County, old school Beverly Hills, old school Jersey, and especially Jersey because I was like family. You had a lot on the line. You kind of had to have conflict and resolution because you had something to lose. You had a real relationship to lose. Some of these shows now we get a bunch of women that don't even like each other, or maybe they become kind of show friends, but they don't really care being rude to each other and having resolution because it's not a real relationship for them. But we got a lot of relationships going awry this season on the Valley. So we open up literal chills of all the Jax fallout. So I love when we know we're going to have a dramatic like issue in the season and they show us the most dramatic thing and then they're like earlier. So they do Brittany yelling at Jax. She's like, Jax, you need to get help. I'm filing for divorce, full custody, and getting a restraining order. And then everyone's like, we don't want you to throw your life away. Kristen Doty's over there and she's like, you can't be alone with your son. That needs to be a wake-up call. And then Jax is packing his bag. We already know because he's going to go to a treatment facility. And Brittany, as he's packing the bag, she's like, you need to go get help because I do not want our son turning out like you. Ooh. As a man, hearing those words, that's rock bottom. And that's what Kristen was trying to instill in his brain. The fact that you're a parent, mother or father, if you can't change now that you have a kid, and sometimes I guess people give Brittany a hard time. Not I guess, they do. Like, oh, you knew he was like that and blah, 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 blah. Now, cheating is different. But partying, I mean, didn't we all stay out later, drink more, and then as Jax maybe do extracurriculars besides the drinking, like a little drug activity? But once you do have kids, you're kind of like, okay, I'm not like going out till 3 a.m. anymore because I have a kid. When you have no responsibility, I don't fault people. Even like sometimes people give Kyle a hard time on Summerhouse because he's older, but I'm like, him and Amanda don't have kids yet. So I think it's fine. And they're getting paid, and at least he's entertaining on TV, and he's not going to bed at 9 p.m. like most of the cast is now. So I don't really think there's anything wrong with when these people don't have kids. They're like having fun because enjoy your life. But now that you have a kid, Jax, why are you still doing cocaine, staying out all night? Like, that's a no. And even you're married. Why are you staying out all night? Don't you want to be with Brittany? So he's crying and then he's like, I can't help myself, so I need help. First time he's probably ever admitted that. But then it goes 7 days earlier. So then we get Jesse at his house that he shared with Michelle, but she moved out. And I knew he was going to stay in that house because it's near that Chateau Momont, however you say it, Momont. I don't know. he wasn't giving that prime real estate up, even though I feel like their house is not like really conducive for a child, but it's down the street from that. And I feel like he's just like foofy and fancy. And that's like a very hot spot for celebs. So like, he's like, no, I'm not giving this up. I will fight to the death for this house. So he said him and Michelle are officially divorced. And well, I guess they're officially separated, but obviously they're moving towards the path of divorce. You know, when you have a kid and you have assets and you have things, like it takes a while to sign on the dotted line for the divorce papers, but they no longer live together. Michelle is a boyfriend, and Jesse's just thrilled that he has the whole closet to himself and he can organize his suits. I'm like, okay, I'm just glad that that's was at the top of your priority list to end your marriage. And he said co-parenting with Michelle is really difficult. And it's like, I'm sure it's because of you, Jesse, not her. So then it shows like hours later when Michelle picks up Isabella, their daughter. And she's like, why do you have eyeshadow on? And she's like, Daddy put it on. So I'm just getting the preview of how difficult it is. Co-parenting with someone like Jesse or Jax, praise be to God for Michelle and Brittany, because it's going to be a long road ahead. It was rough enough being married with them, but now they definitely don't even have to kiss your ass because they don't need to say sorry or do anything. So it's going to be even more difficult. Jesse and Jax are very similar. They are very selfish, very narcissistic, but I probably would pick Jesse over Jax just because at least Jesse doesn't seem as angry and crazy. I mean, they're both selfish. And I feel like when they met these people, though, they were selfish. So it's like, well, not really going to change a leopard's spots that much. I would pick Jesse, even though I'd rather pick nobody. I would pick Jesse between him and Jax. But then we have Danny and Nia still freaking shoved in this apartment. They got 3 cribs in one room. So I think it's like a 2-bedroom apartment. I'm getting anxiety just watching that they cram in here, and we'll discuss it later when they actually go out to lunch and full-blown conversation, talk about how crammed they are. But I don't understand, and I'm sure all their neighbors literally hate them because also you lay one baby down and they're crying, but the other one's sound asleep. They're all crying and they're all waking up. So that's not practical at all. Janet and Jason had their baby, and he has the little hat on for the little cone head. So she said he had a little cone head. So my oldest, since it was my first one, had to get, kind of sucked out from, but she didn't have a cone head. So I'm grateful for that. Janet said that she used the snot sucker, which shout out to Nose Frida. Every time one of my friends or somebody, like a family member, has a baby, I put that in the gift basket because they give you those little round things that you squeeze for the snot at the hospital. That doesn't do anything. This one works, but you have to put the filter in. So you put it up to their nose, you put the filter, and then you suck on the other end, and you suck with all your might to get their snot out. I'm telling you, it works wonders before these kids can blow their nose. And if they're sick and they can't breathe, because if a kid can't breathe and they're sick, they're going to throw up. It's just inevitable because they can't swallow, they can't breathe. It's just a disaster. So you got to get the Nose Frida, but make sure you put the filter on, because Janet said she did not put the filter on and she got a mouthful of snot. And she's like, normally I would be grossed out, but when it's your own kid, you're not. And it's kind of true. I have never not put the filter on because I've heard these nightmares. Janet said it, and then shout out to Sebastian Maniscalco, the stand-up comedian. He said he didn't have the filter in, and went right in the back of his throat, the snot. So everyone go get that for the babies or for the gifts, because everyone will thank you. It's the best. But then Brittany and Jax talk about the relationship separately. So he is residing in the home. So this is when Brittany moves out with Cruz and the dogs. Not only am I a little biased for the women, shout out the women, the mothers. You're the one with the problem. You're the one causing the catastrophe. So since there's like drugs involved, which we can't say yet on the show. So now current day, Jax has come out. And I think he only came out, this is my opinion, he only came out recently saying before the season, oh, like, I have a cocaine problem. First of all, no shit, Jax. We all could guess that from watching Vanderpump Rules back in the day. But I think he came out and said this because he's going to look awful this season on the Valley, and it's going to give domestic violence vibes his way. So he's like blaming it on the drugs. Because when Brittany is describing these horror stories all season, we're just thinking he's awful. And now he's like, yeah, but look, I'm cleaning my act up and I'm being sober and I'm doing this. It's like, no, damage is already done. Should have gotten sober way, way long ago. So I don't understand why Brittany, Cruz, and the dogs had to move out, because you're unstable, so you can't be around the child right now, which I don't think is mean and harsh of Brittany, because I am all for, if there's nothing wrong with the other parent, kids need to be involved with both parents. But there is something wrong with this parent. Jax has an addiction problem and he has an anger problem. So it's like, no, we're not leaving you alone with the kid right now. So you should leave the house, go shack up with Schwartz, maybe on his like couch, and you should be punished. Instead, Brittany left, paid for an Airbnb for like months. She said it on her podcast. I forget how long, but she was there for months. And she was still paying the bills in the other house because you're, responsible for it. That's so awful. I mean, the money that woman that was all the Weight Watchers money. Or was it Jenny Craig she did? I think she did Jenny Craig. That was all the freaking Jenny Craig money was going to her mortgage that Jax is plopping by himself. And that's the other thing. It's like, you're by yourself. Brittany, Cruz, and the dogs should have stayed there. And especially because Cruz, it's already an awful situation for a small child to be in. But why should Cruz be uprooted? Think of the child. But that's why Jax is a selfish, narcissistic person. He's not thinking of anybody except himself, even his own child. It's so annoying. But Brittany is telling Michelle so they're in the rental house on this awful, uncomfortable looking red couch. And she's saying that the last straw was Cruz was playing on her iPad. This part was like actually kind of comical, because my friend was texting me and was like, what's happening? So Jax saw her text on the iPad and she sent a sexy video to this guy, Julian. So we now are privy to, apparently this is Jax's friend, but like, I feel like he's really not his friend. He's like kind of a friend. It's not like she's hooking up with Schwartz. So they were separated and they were allowed to hook up with other people. I guess it's like, Jax is like, yeah, other people, but like maybe not my friend, but it's like, how good of a friend is it? And I think Lala had already hooked up with him. She said Jax literally flipped a table like Teresa Giudice, the coffee table in their house, gave Brittany a bruised knee. It immediately turned like black. And Cruz was in the house. He was in the other room, but he's like telling Jesse. So it's like a flip-flop. We're like getting Brittany's side with Michelle, and then we're getting Jax's side with Jesse. And he's like, Cruz was here, but like, thank God he wasn't in the room. He has ears though, so he heard you. And if you were like flipping a table, we can only imagine the voice that was going along with that table flipping. It wasn't quiet. So the fact that he's doing that and the child is in the house, gross. That's when you should have vacated the house and gone and slept on Schwartz's uncomfortable couch in his sad, lonely single apartment. Because fun fact, apparently Schwartz is single now. Probably not during the show filming, but current day right now, Schwartz is single. And Michelle is like, that's dangerous. You got to watch out. And that's why it's like, I applaud Brittany for getting out of the situation. You do want to try and make it work because you have a kid. But when it gets to that level, you're like, no, I gotta make a change. And Jesse is even telling Jax, like, yeah, I mean, you can't act like that because your son is looking at you and he's like, you're his role model for the man he's going to grow up and be, which is so true. And Jax maybe is kind of like now realizing there's a problem. But also I was like, wait, so you guys, how long after was this, like when you separated? I don't know, because they were already separated. But then Jax is spinning it like he's telling Jesse, like, we were separated, but like we were trying to work on our marriage, and she's texting me and like we were like maybe going to hook up that night. No, you weren't. No, you were not. And I fully believe Brittany. Like, I think she was just trying to be nice and work on their co-parenting relationship, not their marriage relationship. I think that ship had sailed. And she said, They were still doing the podcast together because why interfere with that? That's like their livelihood, their career. Fun fact, skip ahead to today. Thank God Brittany has that podcast alone because Jax was never doing anything for the podcast. And when they would alternate weeks even, and she would do week on, he would do week off, awful. Never listen to his weeks. I listen to hers just because I feel like she is like, friends come on and it's fun. And it's obviously was also listening for like inside scoop for their co-parenting and marriage situation. But if I had to pick between the two, she's definitely better to listen to. So thank God the podcast is just hers. But Jax is spinning it like, oh, Brittany wants me back, but like I really don't, care. And then she wants me back. And then I find out she's hooking up with someone. It's like, no, she doesn't want you back. And they're allowed to hook up with people. So maybe I can just say Brittany pick somebody else that isn't Jax's friend. But I also don't think Brittany would fully pick one of Jax's close friends. So that's why I think this is like a mutual friend, like that's been around for maybe a year, which means it's Brittany's friend too. And also, why don't you talk to your quote unquote friend, Jax, Julian? Bros before hoes. I mean, ask him why he was hooking up with Brittany. Why does it got to be just Brittany's fault? And you're flipping the table on Brittany. Go flip a coffee table on Julian. Yeah, you probably wouldn't, right? Send Brittany and Janet go and make these little potted like plants. Very cute idea. And then Jax is blowing up her phone during this process. So annoying. And we hear the ding from the text messages. And then Janet's like, does he do this all the time? She's like, yeah, I just want to have fun, Janet. It's like, I'm having my like fun summer and I'm going to have a white party. Probably no one wants to do the white parties anymore because P. Diddy did them. So maybe we'll just say this is going to be like Kyle Richards' white party because she kind of took over the white parties too. So she's having it on like a fun rooftop. And she said, but of course, Jax is having one the same day as me and trying to do like competition. So then this reminded me of back in the day when Jax and Tom Sandoval started to have like issues. And Tom and Ariana had a pool party the same day as Jax's original pool party. So Jax was having a party. But then he like uninvited all these people. And then Tom and Ariana were like, screw it, we'll just have a party. And like everyone went to his house. And Jax rented like a slide, a bartender, and only like Stassi, Bo, and like Schwartz came. And Schwartz went back and forth because let's remember he was still friends with Tom and Ariana. Schwartz is just like the peacemaker. But Katie was just a Tom and Ariana's. Like literally no one came to Jax's house. And then Brittany was like, I hate that this has to be like this because I'm punished. And it's like, yeah, that was your hint back then. Like, and that was before they had a kid. So it's like, yeah, it's because no one likes him because he alienates himself. And I can't feel bad for people that are like that. I kind of feel bad for the spouse, but then it's like, you have chosen to be with this person. There's like a little part of me that I'm like, Brittany, you did know Jax's personality. So, and Brittany seems just like such a genuinely nice person. She has that innocent Kentucky personality. And it is kind of like, why did you put up with his meanness for so long? Like way before marriage and the kid. And I get why you maybe put up with the meanness a little bit once you are married and have a kid, because it's like, well, let me just stick it out a little bit. But it's easy to walk away when you're just boyfriend or girlfriend. And she had already made friends in LA at that point. When Jax cheated on her with Faith, she could have still had all those friends in the friend group, still been on the TV show, by the way, and she would have been okay. And maybe she'd be in a little bit different predicament that she is right now. But I don't like fully like blame her at all because we do get mesmerized by these people sometimes. But Kristen, Nia, and Zach go to lunch and they're talking about Janet. So Kristen and Zach are still like having their issues with Janet. And Kristen said, I need an apology from her when she had her podcast, or she went on a podcast and said that she felt she wanted to surround people that wanted to see her pregnancy go to full term. I don't know why Janet said it like that. She literally pictured it like, oh, Kristen and Zach want me to like lose my baby. No, they don't. Literally no one would want that. No one. And then Kristen said, I may not like you, but I like your baby. And it's true. Like, Kristen can be mad at you. Don't victimize yourself and use the baby as like, oh, they're being mean to me, which is stressing me out, and I'm pregnant. So that means you want like me to have a miscarriage. No, that's not at all what Kristen and Zach want. And Zach, last season, they did the flashback when Brittany was like, you need to be nice to Janet. She's pregnant. And Zach was like, I don't care. He wasn't saying, I don't care. I want her to have a miscarriage. He was saying, I don't care that she's pregnant. She can't use that as an excuse for her behavior, which I agree. And if you are having like terrible mood swings or feeling terrible, you need to just own up to that. You need to be like, listen, I'm miserable right now because you guys are all drunk. I'm not. I'm pregnant. I'm just like, ignore me over here, please, until I have the baby and I'm like maybe better. But I feel like Janet is victim blaming because they show a whole thing for the show at the end, or was the beginning, and they show Jasmine, and I'm assuming she's talking to Janet. Sometimes they like make it look like they're talking to somebody and then they're actually talking to somebody else, but she's definitely talking to Janet. She's like, I'm sick of your behavior and you have Karen energy. And then they like pan to Janet. So 99.9% sure she's directing that towards Janet. And she does kind of have like a victim Karen behavior a little bit. So I'm curious to see how Janet acts this year because she had the baby, so she can't use that as an excuse. And maybe she'll be a little better. But out of all of them, I don't like those behaviors. Like, I don't like, and now Zach is like, she's trying to turn Brittany against me, which I don't think will ever happen because even though Brittany is close with Janet, her and Zach go back to Kentucky and like childhood friends. So you're not breaking that bond. But Kristen and Zach want an apology, and she definitely should apologize for what she said on the podcast. I'm totally team Kristen and Zach. And isn't it crazy we're team Kristen these days? Because she used to be crazy back in the day. And she can still be a little bit crazy Kristen, but at least she's like owns it, which I like. So then Kristen goes over to Jesse's house and she's like, who would have ever thought I would be here and I'd be team Jesse? So Jesse said that Kristen did say last year that Michelle had a boyfriend for a year. And he said that if he finds out that this boyfriend happens to be the boyfriend she has now, Aaron, and he's the one that broke up his marriage, he's going to be mad. I'm pretty sure your marriage was in danger anyway, and it was inevitably going to end, whether or not this was the boyfriend or any other boyfriend or any other man. I think the marriage was in danger anyway. But I am curious this season to find out all the stuff about Michelle because I don't think Kristen would say that with no story behind it. And then when like the whole season trailer came out, it was either Danny or Luke saying they heard or know for a fact that Michelle is like was sleeping with somebody, and it was like a millionaire or billionaire. It was like $1,500 a night. And I'm like, I don't know about like being paid, like being like an escort, but I think she did cheat on Jesse because she was clearly checked out and clearly miserable. And like, as big as LA can be, I feel like everyone finds everyone's business out because you see people and everybody knows everybody. So if Michelle was out at that Chateau Marmont, or however you say it, with a guy, somebody there is seeing it and texting somebody who texts somebody who texts somebody who's then going to tell Jesse. So nobody can have secrets. As Kyle says, in this town, there's no secrets. But then Danny and Nia go to lunch and they're talking about moving. So he talks about Santa Clarita and it flashes back to last season. And he's like, if we move to Santa Clarita. So I Googled it. It said it's like 20 minutes from LA. So I'm like, that's not dramatic. But then it's like with traffic, it's probably like 2 hours away. But if that's what it takes to get out of this apartment, I would do it. I'm also a little confused why they can't find a house in their budget. And I'm not shading anyone. I know houses are expensive. But like, look at Jason and Janet's house. It's not that big, but at least it's a house. They have a yard. It's way better than being crammed in an apartment. So it's like, yes, their house is probably a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. So it's not huge, but at least you have the outside and at least you're alone. I mean, and the weather's nice all year, so you can use the outside space. I think they could find a 3-bedroom. That would at least alleviate the problem a little bit. But then this is when I get mad at people. So you have 3 kids. So they have 3 under 3. God bless. Danny's like, we're too blessed to be stressed. That's what I keep telling myself. I do love them. They're cute. Like, they're just like a cute couple because, like, even though they probably are stressed, like maybe off camera they yell and raise their voice, but on camera, like he's saying that. Like, instead, I'd be like, I freaking am so stressed out and I'm pulling my hair out. But he's just like, we're too blessed to be stressed. And I'm like, good for you. Keep telling yourself that. This woman wants a 4th child. Girl, you already have too many kids in that apartment. So fast forward to current day, she's pregnant. I hope they did move to Santa Clarita because he's like, if you want another baby, he's like, I really don't, especially don't in this apartment. He's like, but the compromise for having another baby, we moved to Santa Clarita and I could buy a mansion. I need to Google houses for sale in Santa Clarita because apparently he can't afford to buy a house in the Valley or LA, but he can buy a mansion in Santa Clarita. So I would be moving. I mean, honestly, I'm sure the traffic is annoying, but also you don't have to come to LA every day. And when you do film this show, you do, but Bravo would definitely send you a driver. If you're like, we moved, I need a driver, they do it for the housewives. You know, say I'm going to be drinking, I need a car. Bravo will definitely send you a car. And like, not to be mean, but I'm also confused why they can't afford a house. They both get a paycheck from the show. She does the Miss USA stuff pageant, so she gets money from that. I don't know how much, but she gets money. And Danny does voiceovers, and I don't know if he still does actual acting, but he did. And it's like, that's like 4 streams of income. And I'm sure you could step it up a little bit and do some like partnerships and brand like things, especially baby stuff. Cause it's like, look, I have 500 kids and I use this. Like, I just am like a little shocked that they still have to be shoved in this like little ass apartment. Praying that they have a house, especially now that she's pregnant. But everyone is getting ready for Brittany's party. And then Jax is having the competing party at Jax's Studio City. And obviously everyone's going to Brittany's. Schwartz makes an appearance. And obviously he's at Jax's, probably because he wasn't even invited to Brittany's. And this is like a group of Rena-friends. Jax has like one guy there with like a mullet with a denim vest that looks like he was like asked prior at the door to like be on camera and paid to be part of this. And then like Schwartz's brothers. And that's it. That was so sad. I was shocked. Jesse walked into Brittany's party, which is fully crowded, normal friends. Everyone's there, including Michelle with the boyfriend. She's like, I just try to avoid Jesse at all costs because he gives me the ick. I mean, you can't avoid him that much because you are filming the TV show and you have to co-parent. And at least she has backup and has the boyfriend there. But then, so they say hi to each other. And then they immediately kind of start talking about how Jesse spoils Isabella. And the boyfriend chimes in and says, you buy her whatever you want. Just advice, stay silent. Let them argue with each other because they're the exes. It's like siblings. Let the siblings argue and the in-laws kind of stay out of it. Like Melissa Gorga, I think sometimes, I mean, when it's like real dramatic, you want to have your spouse's back, but sometimes maybe she should have stayed out of it. And then sometimes she did, which was smart. And then Teresa would get mad at her. Maybe that's a bad example because whatever that woman did, Teresa could stub her toe current day and she'd be like, and Melissa and my brother, it's their fault. No, they put the Maloik on me. But the boyfriend, just stay out of it. And Jesse already like thinks you've interrupted his marriage. Now you're going to be saying all these little side comments. Like, no. And Jessie apparently does have a girlfriend. And I think if she was there, Michelle would be mad if she chimed in. She'd be like, who's this slut? This mom wannabe that's chiming in. But they got a long road ahead of them. Jax and Schwartz have a little talk, and Jax is telling him about everything that's happening. And Schwartz is like, you need to go get help. And then Jax is like, puts his head down, and Schwartz does this awkward, like he's reaching for him, but then he hesitates, but then he reaches for him again. I'm just like, he wants to comfort him, but he also kind of like doesn't. And he's like, I mean, I've been really stressed lately, but I know you're stressed. And Jax is like, yeah, he's like, I'm worried about you. And Jax is like, yeah, I'm worried about me too. It's like, we never doubt, Jax, that you're worried about yourself. Don't worry. We know that you're always concerned about yourself. But it's like, yeah, maybe you should go get help. And having this bar definitely aided to the problems of your marriage because, oh my God, if he was staying out late before, he's going to stay out late at his own bar. And he probably used the excuse like, I got to be there and run the bar. You were probably just there like drinking for free and doing coke in the bathroom. You probably weren't running the bar at all. You were actually probably making it more of an annoyance. And can I just say, gross vibes there. And I saw a post on Instagram the other day, and it was like somebody went for like the premiere party for the Valley, literally dirty menu. So it's like a paper menu. You got to laminate the menu so then you can at least wipe it off. You know what I mean? Especially like a place like that. Like you're not at like the Beverly Hills Hotel or Polo Lounge, like where it's like fancy and no one has like fingers with like wing sauce all over them and Meemaw's beer cheese imprints all over the menu. So it's like, get that shit laminated so you can disinfect and wipe it. So it's like a dirty paper menu with fingerprints all over it and a Sharpie through it over Meemaw's beer cheese. And it's like, menu changes stick with us. And it's like, oh my God, what ghetto stuff is that? Print a new menu on a piece of paper, go to Staples and make copies and then laminate it. Just so gross. I'm sure that place is just like gross. I'm sorry. I hate to like really down businesses because we want them to do well, but no, that's a no. I can't wait for Brittany's place to open. It's going to be so cute, I'm sure. Kristen and Janet have their talk, and it's like a half-ass apology. And I do think Janet is wrong for thinking Kristen meant harm towards the baby. And she needs to remember Kristen had a miscarriage. So not only would people not say and think that, someone that had a miscarriage definitely wouldn't say and think that. So, and then Janet is like, you're right. I'm sorry if you didn't think that way, but your demonic best friend did, meaning Zach. And it's like, it's the I'm sorry, but for me all the time. And then you're throwing Zach under the bus. Kristen isn't having it. She gets a little, my husband obviously watched it with me and he was like, that's a drunk like conversation a little bit, or not drunk, but he's like, I've had some cocktails like cry because Kristen's doing like a cry talk. And it's like, yeah, they get a little like, cocktailed up and then have these conversations. They get a little loose. But then Jesse, we close it out with him having another little awkward fight with Michelle. So they're talking about the schools and Michelle's like, yeah, I want to go tour some schools. And Jesse said he wants their daughter to go to school in Newport Beach. And she said, why? Do you want to move there? She's not going to school there. She's going to school in Los Angeles. And he's like, yeah, I would consider moving there. And she's like, you just started seeing somebody there for 3 months and now you want to move? And he's like, yeah, and I'll do what I want. And she's like, all right, well, then we'll go to court and have the judge decide. And then on the confessional, the producer's like, were you bringing this up just to get under Michelle's skin on purpose? And he's like, yeah, 100%. Let the games begin. Oh my God. Like, I feel so bad for her because she has a frickin' long road ahead. And I hate to break it to you, Jesse. The judge, first of all, it would cost so much money. Everyone would be wasting all their time and money. You got to go to court and have a full-blown like thing with the judge, pay the lawyers. Guess what the judge is going to say? No, you don't have to move to Newport. You just want to. No one cares you have some newfound girlfriend. You're the father. The mother lives in Los Angeles. You had the child in Los Angeles. The kid stays in Los Angeles. And then guess what the judge would say? You can move to Newport and then visit the child, but the child is not moving to Newport and does not have to. And Michelle basically said that. She went, well, you can move to Newport if you want, and I'll just have more custody of Isabella. And then Jesse was like, you are not having more custody of her. And it's like, well, then don't move. Go visit your girlfriend on the weekend. Literally, family court does not care about new boyfriends and girlfriends, new spouses. Those are separate families. All they care about is you two and your kid. That's it. And unless there's like a work-related reason you have to move, which I feel like Jesse will turn it into that. He'll say, oh, the real estate's so great, because he even kind of mentioned that. Great in Los Angeles too. You just want to move on purpose. And it's awkward because I was like, oh, Jesse and Michelle did real estate together. So I wonder who got like the clients. Did they divide them down the middle? Like, that was a fight too. So not only were they're fighting over their child, they're fighting over their work clients, which I want, like, do you go to family court for that? Like, this client is my baby. I'm taking them with me. And no, I want that client. I mean, that maybe it's up to the client. And honestly, clients are probably picking Michelle. She's a little quiet, and maybe she would surprise us on her work day. Jesse's a douche. It's like, no, I don't want to be married to you, but like probably would want him to sell me a house just because I feel like he'd be like the schmoozer. Or I'd want him to sell my house. Maybe not sell me a house. Sell my house though to people, like schmooze them over, win them over. But I think we're in for a great season for the Valley. We got to buckle up. We got a lot of drama. Let's take a little break here, and then we will recap Summerhouse and part 3 of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. To all my listeners out there, it's not just the Bravo celebrities that want to look beautiful. We do too. Head on over to Studio One Salon for the most amazing extensions, cut, color, or even just a nice shampoo and blowout for when you go out with all your friends to talk about all the latest Bravo tea. Use my code BRAVOT with a stay-at-home mom to enjoy 10% off. And we're back, and we're going to recap Summerhouse and then wrap it up with finally getting the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion over with. But before we start the recap for Summerhouse, I had a funny thing to say. So last night when I was on Instagram, Hannah and Paige's book, the Giggly Squad book, came out. I do want to get it. It's probably funny. The interlude, it says things guys will do to not go to therapy. And then there's a whole list. And I do have to say, like, every man on this list that we know probably does one thing on this. So I'm like, you're basically talking about every man. One of them says start a pillow company. So obviously that was towards Craig. But then another one that I thought was interesting on the list said become a DJ. So I'm wondering if they're obviously referring to Kyle for his newfound hobby. And then one of them says in parentheses, play the guitar, like meaning like fake playing. And it says like have like a NFL draft. Hold on, let me just read some more. No shave November, golf trips, have second families, axe throwing, gaslighting, get a haircut, run for president, buy Bitcoin, CrossFit, get a DraftKings account, become a sneakerhead, start a podcast. They say, can't believe you haven't seen, and then it says in parentheses, insert mob movie. I mean, don't you feel like that's every guy does at least one of these things on here? I mean, I don't know. But that was a definite, deliberate dig at Craig, because how many men does she know, or do we know in general, that have started a pillow company? And then I think a deliberate dig at Kyle. So I'm wondering, haven't seen any like response from Kyle or Amanda about it. And like, I bet she could play it off and be like, well, I'm not just talking about Kyle. I mean, like, look at James Kennedy or so-and-so, and like just name all these names, but she's definitely talking about Kyle. And obviously because Hannah doesn't like Kyle. So maybe Paige will get away with it because they'll blame it all on Hannah, maybe. I'm wondering though, on the whole tour, did Amanda ever come see them? Because she really can't support Giggly Squad as a whole because Hannah's in it. I wonder if she's going to get the book. It's just definitely has to be hard and put a little bit of a strain on her and Paige's relationship, but not like fully. I wonder if Ciara is friends with Hannah. Like, I never really see them together either. So is it just like Paige and Hannah solo? I don't know. But the gang goes out after Kyle's DJing gig. And they're always saying they can't film anywhere. And here it is. I guess they can only film that one dinner place and this club. And they're celebrating Lindsay's birthday. And then I didn't know it was like maybe Kyle's birthday too, but I don't think it is because the sign only says Lindsay. Lexi and Jesse come home, and in the Uber, they're kind of like fighting, and then they get out of the Uber and he's accusing her of flirting with West. And I'm like, what? This is definitely giving gaslighting vibes because all Jesse is, he's doing stuff, but then he's going to yell at her for doing maybe the same thing. I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's kind of crazy, but I do think that Lexi meant no harm. She said in her confessional that West was like literally falling over. So I don't think that's flirting. I think that's more like making sure West doesn't face plant on the floor. And I don't think Lexi is going to flirt with West. She just met everybody. It's a little different. Jesse has a flirty personality with some of these people because he's known them for 2 summers, but I don't know. That was like really reaching, but I thought it was interesting that they're fighting about that and he's getting jealous because he's always complaining Lexi's so jealous. Then Emrul brings home friend number 5, puts the good old washcloth over the camera, and then Paige is just getting like really anxious and she's like, I think I want to go sleep in the other room like by myself because she shares a room with Ciara. So she goes in the other room to sleep and it's conveniently sharing a wall with Emrul's room. And all she hears is like the slamming of the wall, like the bed hitting the wall. And she's like, I'm already anxious. I really don't need to hear these people at 3 a.m. And it is kind of like, come on. Like, it's fine if you're doing this, but like, ew. And Amanda is texting Kyle and she's like, it's 4 a.m. Where are you? I mean, like, where are you? I don't know because I have only been in the Hamptons once and it was in the off season. I was with my friend because her family had a house there. But does anywhere stay open that late? So then I would be like more upset. Like it's one thing if you stay out late at a club or restaurant, but if you're like going to people's houses, no. Like why? You're not single. Like you're out with West, who is single. So Kyle and West finally come home at 5:32 a.m. They, excuse me. Oh my God, the allergies are like running rampant right now. But they can't get this janky door open. So for as beautiful as this house is, the door is like stuck. So poor pregnant Lindsay has to mosey down, open the door, and West goes right into his room, face plants, falls asleep, all the lights on. Kyle is eyes closed, eating in the kitchen, and then moseys on over to a chair off the kitchen, sits down, pants unzipped, but the button is buttoned. The zipper's just down. The fly is open. Falls asleep in the chair. And it's 5:32 in the morning. I mean, when the camera people edit this shit, they must just die watching it. The next day, Jesse says to Lexi, like, oh, West was massaging your shoulders and like dancing. And he thinks this is just ironic because she was mad at him about the whole Ciara thing. But Lexi was like, no, I was like literally holding your friend up because he was so drunk. And when Kyle and West got home at 5:32 a.m., he looked super drunk. So it's like, I'm pretty sure even if Lexi wanted to flirt and hook up with West, it wouldn't be when he's like eyes closed, blacked out. Thanks. Amanda finds Kyle in the chair. I mean, I think he's only slept for 2 hours, maybe. And he's like, are we having the breakfast here? Because Amanda is doing this nice little brunch for Lindsay. And it's like, all I can think about is you've maybe had 2 hours of awful sleep in this chair. You're then going to have to sit and have this breakfast. And you got to drive back because it's Sunday. I mean, they really don't get enough time in that house because they all get down Friday night. So then they have like Saturday, but then Sunday, I'm telling you, they like wake up and like get out of there. I don't know if they do it to avoid the traffic because my butt would stay in that house every last minute I could. I like wouldn't want to go back to the city. I feel like they all like wake up that Sunday and they're like, oh, I just want to get back to the city. And it's like, why? You're in like space, backyard. You have a pool. Like you're running to sit in your apartment in the city. I don't know. I mean, maybe they like all have a lot of work to do, or maybe they just are like tired of like living with all these people. And at the end of the day, this is a job. Like it looks fun to us, but it is like they don't have an option to be there. I don't know. But the breakfast Amanda's making looks phenomenal for Lindsay. Paige comes down and is filling everyone in how gross she finds Emrul. And she's like, I mean, it's just like not funny. It's just disgusting. I'm officially grossed out by him. And then he walks in and she's like, I think you need a STD check. And then he's like, well, I use condoms. And she's like, yeah, but like, how many people have you brought home? Like, that's weird. And I agree, it is gross, just even if you live by yourself. But I think it's so gross when you live in this house. This is not like Jersey Shore back in the day. Like, I feel like all of them brought home people. And it's like they all did, though. So it was like, not like one person was and everyone else was like in bed at 8 o'clock and like had spouses. Like that would be a different story. Like now there still is Jersey Shore family vacation. Let's say they all rented a house right now for a whole summer. I think if one person brought people back like every weekend, they'd be like, ew, you're disgusting. Like we're not in that place in life anymore. But Carl and Ciara are outside and he's just telling Ciara that Lindsay came up to him last night and she acknowledged his tough day, like for his brother. And she's like, I'm just thinking about you. And I thought that was really nice. But then Emrul comes outside and Ciara is kind of drilling him on what a slut he's being. And she's like, do you bring girls like this back to your home? Because it's obnoxious at this point. And it's like, thank you. Somebody need to say it. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'll tone it down. I mean, maybe he like kind of thought like Jesse and West would be doing the same thing, but then they weren't. So it's like, don't. It's not like everyone's married and he's not. There are single people. Jesse was like, may I suggest like a sleep out one night? Or what did he say? He said, he didn't say a sleep out. He said something like a new location for the night, like meaning go to the girl's house. And Carl was like, yeah, this probably is the most volume of guests we've ever had in a long time. Because he is acknowledging like, yeah, we all used to kind of be like, you know, bringing people back, but not every weekend and not different people, you know, like it's different. If he started bringing the same girl back every weekend and then she started like kind of getting to know everyone, they'd be like, oh, okay, that's different. The fact that it's different people is a little gross. But then Ciara and Paige have another tearful follow-up. Well, they have a tearful follow-up to the heart-to-heart. Paige is just feeling like really anxious, and I think she's just really nervous about Craig seeing this footage of her just like shitting on him. But on the bright side for her, she's already broken up with him, so he's seeing the footage, but it doesn't matter now. But that is true. When you say this stuff on the TV show, it's kind of like, well, you better, you know, either profusely apologize to the person or you better end it because they're going to see it and not be too happy. And I'm wondering if that's why she was like, oh my God, I have a timeline to do this and it's before the season comes out. I think I'm just like watching all this. I'm kind of shocked that she didn't just break up with him before the tour. But then I think it would have made her even more anxious for like that big of a change and then going into the tour. And then the tour would have turned into people always asking her the questions of like, oh, you and Craig broke up. Just like he wanted to hide the breakup for like a month because he was doing press for Southern Charm. He didn't want all the questions while he was doing press to be, oh, Paige dumped you or you guys broke up. So she said she's putting everything on the back burner until the tour's over. So, AKA thinking about breaking up with Craig. Because I think at this moment, she knows she like maybe doesn't want to break up with Craig, but has to break up with Craig because she's feeling all these feelings. And it's not going to change. That's the thing. It's like you try your best, but then it's like if someone isn't changing, it's like Jax and Brittany. It's like then it needs to end. You can't just stay in the like if Craig said, "Oh, I'll move," but then he was like having second thoughts, it's like, well, then no, I got to move on because then they're really going to start wasting their time. Kind of end up like how Lindsay did. Like she's 38 right now, and good for her that she's pregnant because I think that's why she was so upset when Carl broke out off their engagement. Like, obviously, I think she was upset losing Carl, but I think she was more upset about, oh my God, I'm like at that point 37 and I have to start over. Like, that's going to take me so long, which it does. I understand, but start over. It's better than being trapped and being upset. And Craig's in a new relationship. They're already on vacation together. So I guess he's fully moved on. I mean, I feel like the first person right after the breakup is like a little bit of the rebound. Like you're not going to find, in my opinion, your like forever permanent person right after a 3-year relationship, but you never know. You never know. Maybe Craig just doesn't want to waste time. So maybe he went on a couple dates and did have a couple hookups. And now this is the person, hopefully for him. But I love Ciara and Paige's friendship. Like it just being so raw, so emotional. She's so there for her. And she's like, don't worry, like do what you need to do. And she's like, Craig probably won't like me either after that conversation. But it's true. I mean, he talked about Paige on his show, and it's kind of like, it is a reality TV show. You can't cover up too much. Kyle, we'll get into that when we recap Beverly Hills. But they have Lindsay's birthday brunch, looks so cute. Jesse asks her if she'll bring the baby next summer. And Paige said, yes, you're out and the baby is in. And then she was like, I don't know if I would like bring the baby and like depend on you to babysit. And Jesse was like, West and I would be great babysitters. And she's like, I don't know. And he's like, all right, well, it's easy for you to say that now because right before breakfast, West's head was in the toilet getting sick from the night before, which I can only imagine. That was a long day. They were day drinking and then went out. Him and Kyle got home at 5:32 a.m. I mean, I think almost that's why he got sick too. I don't think he's a lightweight. I think it was like they were in the heat all day, then they went out and you stay up late. And I don't even care if like you drink a lot and you get 8 hours of sleep. It's bad REM cycle. It's actually not good sleep. So you're still going to feel tired. Like you could sleep like all day and it doesn't, it just, the body is depleted of what it needs. So like you didn't get your proper REM cycle. I mean, and the next night you just got to really recover and go to bed early. And then that's when you'll feel better. Well, as we get older, it takes longer to recover. It definitely does. But back in the city, everyone goes to serve at the Cancer Society because Jesse is 6 years cancer free and they are like making like taco bowls and serving it. So I thought that was really nice. He asked everyone to do that. So Carl is telling Ciara and Jesse he hooked up with someone. So right when they were like leaving the Hamptons, like after Lindsay's breakfast, Ciara must go to Montauk for like work or something. I don't know. But as my friend revealed, this house basically is in Montauk. So Carl was like, can you give me a ride? And she was like, sure. Cause he was like, I guess seeing someone. So not Lil, somebody else. And I hope we get a glance at them this season. But he fills Ciara in like the ride was not wasted because I had sex. Pop that cherry off of that year of nobody touching me. And she's so excited. And Jesse was like, he was wearing my sunglasses. And Ciara was like, I dropped him off, drove him there. So that was funny. They were like, tag team, we got Carl back in the game. And then Ciara kind of like was laughing and like touched Jesse's arm. And Jesse was like, Ciara, no touching. I got in trouble. And then she's like, wait, are you serious? And he's like, yeah. And then like, she just kind of was like, okay. And then he's like, stay as long as you want, make a Taco Bell. And then she's like, no, I'm going to leave. Literally, I think she said something like that. Like, no, I'm good. No, I'm good. I'm out of here or something. Then he did his little speech in front of everybody. But Jesse and Lexi are both psycho. I'm sorry. Like, it's one thing if like your partner of a long time, or they really are like full blown cheating on you. You could be dating boyfriend, girlfriend for like a month. And if they are cheating on you, like, yeah, be mad. But like, if Jesse looks at someone that walks by, like if they went out to dinner and I think Jesse just kind of like looked at the waitress a little bit, I think Lexi would like have a cow. And then vice versa though, now Jesse's getting this like jealous streak because he's like, oh, you were like massaging Wes. And she's like, actually, I was like holding him up because he was blacked out. So it's like, maybe they're both jealous, like underlying. I don't know, but it's getting annoying. And I'm ready for them to just break up. And then I'm really curious if she'll even like be back next season because Jesse has been around longer and is friends with these people more. And like, to be honest, since Lexi wasted all her time focusing all her energy on Jesse, in my opinion, she really didn't make friends with anybody this summer. So like, if it's between Lexi and Jesse staying, like Jesse's going to stay. And that would be awkward for her to come back and then be in the house. Like West and Ciara were one thing because I don't know, he could come back. She wasn't leaving because she was already there before him. But like, I feel like he's like, well, I can stick it out and come back. It's fine. It won't bother me. It doesn't bother guys as much. But I just think she really like shot herself in the foot because she just didn't get to know anybody in my like thoughts. Maybe now, like I do see her like take pictures with Gabby and stuff. And it's like, yeah, now after the fact, like I feel like she barely talks to anybody except Jesse the whole time. And I know there's like a lot of footage or a lot of the day we don't see, but I just feel like I never saw her going in and talking with Paige and Ciara or like laying with Lindsay or Gabby and talking or Amanda. It's like, no, she's just like always with Jesse. And that's not a smart move because now look what happened. You guys aren't even together. But then Paige, Amanda, and Ciara go out. And this is when Paige tells them she's just going to put all the emotions on the back burner until the tour is over. So that's making more sense. I think it would be too overwhelming if she cut the cord right away with Craig. And maybe she wants to see how he actually acts on the tour. Like he is saying like, oh, don't forget about me. And she's feeling like he's like jealous and stuff. And then she did say at the lunch that she expressed that to him. And he's like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm going to be more supportive. So maybe she's like, all right. Like, maybe he's just like, you know, going to miss me, which in a way is flattering. You know, like everyone wants to be missed or say, like, I'm going to miss you so much. But that doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, I'm saying this to make you feel so guilty and not go. Because then if people didn't say they would miss us, like, then we'd be mad at them. So maybe this is like a little test to see how he acts. And obviously he failed the test because he's sending her documentaries of ABBA when they're on tour and the family breaking up. So that's not good. But then Ciara tells Amanda and Paige about what Jesse said at the Cancer Society, the like, don't touch me. And she's like, I'm ready to give him the cold shoulder after that don't touch me comment. Like, I won't even look at you. I won't talk to you. And he doesn't want to ruin those friendships, you know, over Lexi. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be mean, but you just freaking met this girl. I think she's a little annoying. She's a little young. And this isn't like a forever relationship, definitely not marriage material. And don't blow all the friendships in the house or like your spot on the show for this girl that overlines her lips. I'm really concerned. I forgot to say when Lexi, her mom and sister went out for the espresso martinis, I'm really concerned how they all overline their lips. Is this a Canadian thing? Like, I know that we overline a little bit here. And like, you pick one shade darker than the lipstick just so we can like see it a little, but like I blend it in, you know, you do the lip liner a little darker, but then you do the lipstick and you really kind of like pull it together. Then you do a little nice plumping gloss over it. And no one can tell that I have like lip liner on. Like, I feel like Lexi has like brown lip liner with like shimmery lipstick. And it's not even like a color. Like it's just too much. But then I'm like, wait, aren't you paying for glam sitting in that chair? Or did you do your own lips? Or I don't know. But then the sister and the mom look like that. And I'm like, I'm concerned. And then the sister moved to New York, but they're living together. And then the mom stays there all the time and they like share a bed. And I don't know. It's like, I think it's so nice that they all have that like super close relationship, but also it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like they all just like depend on her for like, they're like grabbing at the opportunity, you know? I'm surprised they all still live in Canada since she moved to New York. Like they seem so close. I can't believe it's taken the sister this long to move, especially the sister. It's like, just move with your sister. But then it's like, okay, now Jesse, if he comes visit, it's going to be like the sister and Lexi and him. That's weird too. Cause like your friend hearing you get it on with the guy, like different, but like, I don't know, the sister, like it's your sister-in-law maybe one day. And it's like, I don't know. But I don't think we ever have to worry about that because we definitely know current day they're not together. But all in all, Summerhouse, I think, is still going good. And we're going to take one more little break and then we'll do The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Need a last minute gift? Look no further than Acred Creative. Discover personalized gifts, distinctive decor, and must have business essentials. Elevate your space or amplify your brand with their unique creations. Go to acredcreative.com and use my code BRAVOT10 to receive 10% off your order. That's ACRED creative.com and use my code BRAVOT10. So we finally are wrapping up The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, part 3 of the reunion. So Sutton and Dorit, of course, are getting at it. What else is new from the whole freaking season? And she's like, here she comes. And Dorit is alluding to Sutton buying her friends. I don't think she buys her friends because like Jennifer Tilly's her friend and she has a ton of money. So I don't really know why Dorit's saying that, what basis she has, because at this point, if you're going to do these like intense insults, you better have lots of facts to back it up and not just throw shit into the wind and hope it sticks, honestly. So then they start talking about the like drinking things. And obviously we saw Sutton go on her trip this year to Augusta and get more into like her dad and his drinking problems. So obviously that's where the anger stems from, I think, to Sutton towards Dorit, because it's not funny to her because of her father's problem. Like maybe if he didn't have that problem, maybe she'd kind of like let it roll off, but I also don't think so because I don't think Sutton lets anything roll off. But I don't disagree. I would be mad. I would be mad on either side. They both say really mean things to each other, so both of them should be mad at each other, honestly. And Dorit's like, you're the one that said in that article, you are much nicer after your 10 a.m. drink. And then Sutton's like, I was joking. I really don't think she's joking, but that's okay. Your prerogative. Erica said she thinks Sutton was always asking her questions or Dorit questions just to hurt her. And a write-in question that Andy read said, Sutton throws a tantrum every time she feels she's wrong. And then Andy said, Garcelle, do you agree? And she said yes. And it could seem that way. It's whoever's pushing her buttons, kind of like right now. And then Garcelle says, I'm so mad. Why is she mad? Like, she's just so mad right now. Like, she started the beginning of the reunion off like, okay. And then she's the one that pointed to Dorit and was like, oh, yeah, I'm allowed to have an opinion about your home invasion. I think you guys had something to do with it. So you're mad though? Like, if anything, Dorit should be freaking furious at you because that's so. First of all, you just keep saying it. And it's like, okay, at this point, if that's your opinion, great. But I'm not going to like you if that's your opinion about me. And she's just mad at everyone on the stage. And it's like, about what? And she's like, I don't want to honestly answer any more questions for the day. And it's like, Andy is like, why are you so mad? Like, what happened? And then Andy asked Garcelle, like, why are you so mad? And she said she never gets grace. And it's like, about what though? Like, about what? Then she said, no one has smiled at her today. I would literally love to meet somebody that smiles on these Bravo reunion days. They are filming for like 10 to 12 hours. They are getting glam for like probably 2 hours beforehand. They get it up at the butt crack of dawn. They're arguing with each other, stirring up all the arguments from 6 months ago. And now they have all watched everyone's confessionals. They've all been online. They've all now done podcasts because that adds extra fuel to the fire. We used to not have that. Now we got that. Honestly, I'm glad Garcelle's off the show because if she thinks these women are acting strange towards her, and I hate to say this, but she does do it, she sometimes plays the race card. And it's like, if that's why you think they're not smiling at you, it certainly is not. And no one is smiling at each other, period. Like, no one likes each other on the reunion day. It's just, when you get this checked out and hate everyone, good, you should leave. Like, Sutton should leave too. But I feel like Sutton, like, this is her life. Like, she has so much money, but I feel like Sutton doesn't have a life. So that's why she puts up with it, because why else would you if this becomes not fun and I have money, I'm not staying. Like I said before, I totally understand why Teresa Giudice stayed and put up with it, because I think it was a stubbornness for her too. Like, no, I got on the show first. This is my show. Like, I'm not letting my sister-in-law, my brother stay. But also, that was her living and income. Like, if she stopped doing that, she'd be in worse trouble than she is right now. But Andy is asking Kyle if she's gonna like start dating, and when she removed wife from her Instagram bio, if that was like hard. And she said she will be dating soon. So I was like, good, you should. And hopefully we're gonna actually know who you date, Morgan. Then Erica just kind of said she's like closer with her son now after all the Tom stuff, and he testified in the ASAP Rocky lawsuit. I don't even know what that is, but he's a police officer. So then they kind of talk about the Chuck E. Cheese party, and Tom is pushing for hospitalization instead of jail time. And then Andy said, would you ever visit him? And she's like, this is like mean, but I would visit him when he's dead. It's like, okay. She said, I would hope she would have went to his funeral. I mean, honestly. But she said he's just like probably doesn't even know who she is. But I think it's just because she doesn't like want to see him because of what he did to her, which is totally fine. But I thought it was just morbid / kind of funny when she's like, no, I'll visit him when he's dead. It's like, okay. Then this is when they kind of talk about Sutton's trip and her dad. And Erica said Sutton's mom reminds her of her grandmother, just like hard, like Steel Magnolias vibes. And Sutton said she would like to be more soft with everyone and be a better friend. I think once she got Reba like on camera, she's like, oh my God, if I continue to be like snippy sometimes, like I'm literally going to turn into Reba. And she said Reba has not watched the show yet, and they have not even discussed it yet. And Andy was like, what? And it's just like, yeah, in April, I'm going to do it. Like maybe when you see her for Easter, that doesn't seem like a good Easter table conversation, but that's fine. So then they get into Kyle and Mo, and it's like, thank God. Like, can we just have the whole reunion basically be about that? And like Andy really drilling the questions to Kyle, because she's the one I feel like of all of them that is not open and honest. And she said she's sad when she thinks about it. And Kathy said she would like to see them reconcile. Kathy's over there sobbing like a baby, crying. And Andy said, last year you seemed angry, now you seem sad. So I said that all season. I was like, last year she was like giving him death stares. And this year she's crying every scene. Like, I think it's because she regretted it. She said she regrets allowing it to get to this point. So I was right. And it's kind of like, well, you kind of made it get to this point because she pushed him away last season. I'm sorry. And she was like, I don't know what makes me more sad, like that he didn't fight for me or maybe didn't know how. Why are you pushing him away then if you do still want him? And it's like, I get someone needs to kind of like fight for you, but he was being nice to her last season. I mean, at least on camera of what we saw. And she was being mean to him. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, well, how long do you think he's going to put up with that? She suggested the separation to begin with. Maybe she should have suggested therapy to begin with. And then if that didn't go well, then suggest the separation. Kyle said when she sees him out, though, it makes her think that's why they're not together anymore. So they showed like the clip of him and PK and Kyle Cook partying at his DJ gig. And it's like, yeah, it just gives you the ick when they're like that old and they're acting that way. Like even Kyle's getting too old to act this way. Like freaking him and Amanda, I guess, will just never have kids, honestly. And I could see that for him. Can't see that for her. I feel bad for her. But it's kind of gross to see Maurizio and PK like that. Like, it's like, ew, it looks like grandpas at this party. Definitely PK too, because he looks so much older than Maurizio. But according to Kathy Hilton, Kyle could be Maurizio's daughter and Maurizio looks old, which I don't argue with. Like, he does look a little old. And this fun fact. So this Bravo account, or it was like a girl on TikTok and then a Bravo account posted it. And it was like, tell me all the like funniest Bravo like things or like secrets like revealed. So one of them was like, oh, my friend met Maurizio and he was hitting on her, and she's like pointed to his wedding ring, and he was like, does that bother you? I want to know if that's true. And I kind of like feel like it is. And I think these are the things that bothered Kyle. And Kyle is saying like women are snakes and throw themselves at good men. And she said that kind of like, oh, I think it was like a turn on for people. And he was like a good husband, a good father, like successful business person. And then when I saw that like, he's like, oh, does that bother you? I was like, yeah, this probably all checks out. So they bring up the infidelity. And Andy's like, last reunion you alluded to there was something that broke your trust. So was it infidelity? Because it's like, she said it wasn't, but it's like, girl, yeah, it was. And Kyle said she will not talk about the father of her children negatively, and everything is not up for discussion. I agree with that to a point. I think everyone would agree with that, but then it's like, don't ask everyone else to share everything then. Just keep your mouth shut about what people do and do not share. And I think that's what Garcelle's getting mad about, but it's like, also, it's like, Garcelle, I don't even know anything really about your ex-husband. I just know that he cheated on you and that you like emailed his friends. So don't act like, and then she's told us that Oliver was like a drug addict. Well, he probably tells people that on his own. No offense. But it's like, I don't really remember you giving us any like deep, dark, riveting stuff. I mean, Sutton talking about her dad and stuff. I'd like Sutton to talk more about her divorce. Who knows if Kristen has made her sign something saying she legally can't. But I mean, kudos to Dorit putting it all out there. And I know PK was mad, but it's like, we definitely can't say Dorit doesn't share anything. But it does make me a little mad Kyle doesn't like maybe just shake her head yes or no, or maybe like have Kathy do it. I don't know. Because it's kind of like, also, your kids are grown up and they need a reason. I'm sorry, they do. And you know what? If Maurizio did cheat on you, that's his consequence that he needs to face with his children. And that's my opinion, for real. Like, I love my husband, but if he did cheat on me, our kids are young. But I think when they're older, I would be like, you need to tell them because you made that negative, bad choice that negatively affected our family. So you need to tell them, or I will. So if you would like to do it in your way, here's your opportunity to. But I mean, I guess it's nice Kyle wants to like protect Maurizio, but I want to know. So that's very selfish of you, Kyle. She said, this is when she said she'll be dating very soon. And then this is when it got strange and confusing. So Kyle said she had a talk with her daughters, and Kathy is laughing the whole time because I think Kathy knows what she's insinuating. Like, she had a talk with her daughters about her sexuality of like maybe being a lesbian, aka dating Morgan Wade. And Kathy's just like over there, like uncontrollably laughing, like that nervous laugh. And Kyle's like admitting she's maybe a lesbian. And she's like, I was like talking to my daughters and, I did that music video and I never thought maybe I could like question myself. But then after that, I was like, oh, well, maybe. And then Andy's like, or then she said, and then Portia stands up and hugs me and says, nothing you could ever say would make me not love you. And Andy's like, that's exactly what my dad said when I came out in high school or whenever he came out to his parents. And she went, no, I'm not saying I did that. And he's like, okay, but like, yeah, you are. Like, it's like, then what else would you have been saying to her? I just find that so strange that if she's told that the daughters already, then just say it. If you're dating her, you can't hide it forever. And I don't know. She said she would like to be married again. And everyone says, since basically everyone up there was single, that they think Kyle will be the one to be remarried first out of everyone. And she's like, I do love to be a wife. And it's like, yeah, well, then you're going to have to tell us like sooner or later who you're freaking dating. And long term, her and Morgan Wade would never work out. She's so young. She could be your damn daughter. And I don't know. It's funny because she said she watches the videos of like Maurizio out partying and Morgan Wade is sober, but just talking about being out, she's a musician, she's on tour, she's to be out of the house on tour all the time. I'm not saying she's partying and drinking, but just being on the road like that, you were bitching when he was busy with the agency. You're going to get into a new relationship where they travel all over? Very weird. But all the ladies get watermelon drinks in honor of Dorit's party. And Jennifer Tilly does the toast. And she's like, there's blue ships, silver ships, Louis Vuitton ships, but the best ships are friendships. Garcelle kind of like rolls her eyes, only like cheers to Jennifer Tilly, doesn't cheer anybody else, barely sips it, puts it down. And then Andy was like, we can finally get a cast photo. And Garcelle said, nope, I'm out. Storms off. So I watched the uncensored version on Peacock. She's just saying the F word, calling them a-holes in the dressing room. Love the uncensored versions. It was like bringing me back to Vanderpump Rules reunion right after Scandival. Everyone has to watch that on Peacock uncensored once because hearing all the F words just makes it more angry. And you're like, yeah, like all the bad words. Like, so her just getting back to that dressing room and being like, they're all assholes and I don't understand and blah, 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 blah. Like why they act this way. So then they're all mouths wide open. And Dorit's like, that's really unprofessional, Garcelle. And Kyle was like, what did she even go through this season? Which I agree. I'm sorry. What did you go through? Garcelle's saying to her glam squad, I'm so sick of them. And I'm sick of no one backing me up. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. You're mad that no one agreed with you that PK and Dorit paid people to break into their home for an insurance claim? Why do people have to agree with you on that? Because also, maybe no one agrees with you on that. Maybe Sutton would, but Sutton doesn't want to dig her grave that far into the ground to say it. And it's mean. I think at this point, Sutton's realizing, like, even if I think of some mean things about Dorit, if I want her to be nice to me, I need to be nice to her, which is just a common, like, politeness. It's true. Like, kids at school, be nice to them, they'll be nice to you. Treat others with respect how you want to be respected. And it's just like, I never really minded Garcelle on the show. Like, she wasn't my favorite, but I wasn't like, oh my God, like, let's get her off. But now after her doing this at the reunion, it's like, thank God you voluntarily left. Like, why are you so mad? Why do you want everyone to be smiling, hugging you all day on this terrible day? You're not. Are you smiling at Dorit while you're saying that they did that to their house? I'm flabbergasted. She drove away. Sutton comes back and she's like, did she leave? And she's like, we were supposed to have supper. And it's like, well, guess we're not having supper no more. So then I was like, I'm so curious if they'll remain friends after this. And I didn't think they would. even though some people were like, oh, they're like good friends. So I just saw on Instagram, it said Garcelle has unfollowed Kyle, Dorit, Erica, and most surprisingly, Sutton. But she still follows Jennifer Tilly and, of course, Kathy Hilton, because no one's going to unfollow Kathy Hilton. But I think it's funny. She follows Jennifer Tilly because it's like, that's Sutton's friend. And if you're going to be mean and unfollow Sutton, like, she's definitely not going to go chum it up with Garcelle on her own. But I don't think Garcelle would care if she ever saw all these people ever again. And it was very prevalent when she left and like acted the way she did, because I don't understand her thought process. It's just pretty mind-blowing to me that she left like that and was so mad at everyone. And I even think Andy was like, why are you so mad? And like, I think he secretly loved it though when she like stormed off, like his face, like he was like, oh. And then another thing that Kyle randomly said in part 3, Andy was like, have you considered moving and selling the house? Because the house is freaking huge. It's just a certain portion in there. And she's like, I did consider it. But I think I am going to like wait for the 1.5 years until Portia leaves. But she's like, I almost bought a house across Lisa Vanderpump. And his face, he was like, oh, please do that. And Erica's like, yeah, I'm sure you would love that. It's like, could you imagine? That could be a spinoff show on its own. I would die. That'd be funny. Now I need to see what the house looked like, because where Lisa and Ken live, that like hill and view is beautiful. So I would only imagine Kyle's would be equal, because her house, her and Maurizio live, or well, now she just lives in, is beautiful. I mean, and it has to be sad. Like, if they were still married and all the kids moved out, I wonder if they would still live in that house. Like, maybe not even, because all the kids are gone. But also, like, if you own a business, I feel like you want a big house if you do a lot of entertaining and parties. And they had a perfect entertaining house. And I get they have money, but it is a lot of upkeep. Like, sometimes I can't believe Ken and Lisa live in that giant house by themselves. But I also think they have a lot of, like, their house is big, but I think Kyle's was maybe even a little bigger. Maybe. Or maybe just more bedrooms, which is like we really don't need this. Like, I think Ken and Lisa's is big, but it's like their bedroom's huge. So maybe they only have 2 other bedrooms in that house. Honestly, also, I have no idea. I don't think Ken and Lisa will ever leave that house, because they've built so much stuff for the animals, which would be like hard to find or expensive to do again. And just like that property on that hill. That's why I thought Kyle was never going to leave, because that property, like that backyard, I'd stay just for that backyard. And she just put so much love and design into that house. And they stayed in the other house so long, the one they lived in before that, that's like kind of like, I feel like the OG house we always saw on the show. She redesigned it freaking 3 times, but that's wild. And I mean, if you love your house, you love your house. So, and if you have the money, yeah, I guess you would rather just like redo it every so often instead of move. But I'm wondering if Dorit will move, because that's like a big house. And if she's going to be on her own paying for it, that may be a little too much. I don't think she'll be scaling back like Erica in that little of a house. But also, PK's going to have to fork over spousal support and whatnot, unless he filed for the divorce within the 10-year thing. But that's so mean. I mean, he'll still have to give spousal support, but they said earlier in the season, if you're married for 10 years, it's like half and half. And I think he was trying to hurry up for that. But I don't think they're like officially divorced or anything. So we shall see as that happens. But I think this was a good episode. We finally got the Valley back. We're back, baby. We're back. Thank God. Getting all the drama out of that. Summerhouse will probably be wrapping up soon. Getting drama out of that. And then Beverly Hills is over with. We're done and over with that. But then we got that show coming out like June 3rd with all the young Bravo people like Gia, Judice, Brielle Bierman, Brooks Marks. And like, so not everyone is a Bravo child. Some of them are just like rich children. I will probably watch it, but I probably won't like be obsessed with it, because I don't know who everyone is. So sometimes I'm like, meh, but I'm definitely going to give it a whirl, because young people in New York arguing, getting in whatever. Oh, Candy Burris's daughter too is on it. But then I think some of the others are just like randos. are like influencers. But I hope everyone has an amazing Easter and spring break. If you are on vacation or just relaxing, whatever you may be doing, enjoy yourselves.
Yeah, you walk that walk, watch the mask go by. You're so picture perfect.